I'm currently in Thailand, so I'm on the same time zone, but I am working remotely like a number of our team are at the moment. Well, one of your questions obviously talks about the political situation in Hong Kong. For us, it's more about the practicalities of being able to sort of go in and out that makes more of a difference to us. Well, I'd be remote working even if I was sat in Hong Kong, because our office is currently closed under the latest pandemic restrictions. So all of our team are remote working. So it's really, whether I'm in Hong Kong or if I'm somewhere else, as long as I'm connected and I can access all our systems, it's pretty much the same deal. The change in political climate is noticeable. From our perspective, business-wise, it doesn't really impact us because ITA don't write business in Hong Kong. It's more of a practical impact. If you're facing some of the toughest quarantine restrictions in the world, that obviously inhibits your ability to be able to travel out and meet with business partners around the region and be able to face-to-face with them, which has been the case for the last couple of years. And obviously you can try and mitigate that through Zoom and web meetings and those sorts of things. But it's, I think eventually you do start to feel the effects, particularly as it's been there for such a long time. The way that the world operates now with remote meetings and use of technology and things like that, I think it's here to stay. That's inevitable. But I still feel, from a perspective of being in a people business, that being face to face with people, there's no real substitute for that. And I think we hear the same thing from some of our advisory distribution partners. Some of them have adapted really, really well to being able to transact and deal with clients remotely. Others have found it far more of a challenge. And I think one of the toughest areas is actually prospecting and networking for new clients. If you've got a well-established client bank that you're dealing with and you're sourcing business from, that puts you in a reasonably good position to be able to do those kind of activities remotely. But if you are, I suppose, a developing business or a fairly new advisor into a region or a location, starting afresh, it's a bit more of a challenge, I think, to be able to go out and network and prospect for clients when a lot of the traditional networking and prospecting avenues are closed off to you. I think so. Yeah, we had a terrific 2020 and a really good 2021 new business-wise in Asia, and in fact across all of our regions. And I think one of the major drivers of that was our paperless process and the ability, really, for an advisor to be able to use their laptop as their office or their workbench for the purposes of transacting ITA business. So we do facilitate more remote interactions between advisors and clients. And you're right to identify that for many advisors now, particularly those who have a mature client base, those clients may have relocated to various other parts of the Asia region, or indeed other parts of the world. And it's critical, really, that they have the tools to be able to continue to service those clients and to be able to transact with them from wherever the clients happen to be. And I believe that's a continued strength in terms of our proposition. Well, I think aside from the advantage that we have in terms of our online capabilities, one of the other things that has held us in good stead is that we're quite diversified in where we source our business from in terms of different markets, different countries, etc. And I think with different locations exiting the pandemic at different times, periodic lockdowns being applied in one place or another place, having a diversified spread of business has been enormously helpful to us up to this point. In terms of products, historically Asia for us has been a very strong regular savings market. That continues to be the case, and we continue to write good levels of regular premium savings business. But in recent years, we've seen ITA really start to develop more of a franchise in lump sums and personal portfolio bond business. And I think, one of the real advantages of our product range is if we're potentially looking at a downturn in investor sentiment, with monetary tightening, perhaps some of the geopolitical environment that's out there at the moment, what tends to happen there is that there becomes an increase in popularity in some of our capital protected products, which are also already very popular within the region. But when investor sentiment turns a bit more bearish, people tend to like the security blanket of capital protection. So I think the benefit that Investors Trust offer to our advisory and distribution partners and their clients is pretty much that we've got an all-weather proposition as far as product range goes, so that we can compete and we can provide solutions in the various different market environments that we might find ourselves in. Yeah, I mean, if we look at the provider side of things first of all, but I think perhaps also the advisory side of things, there's a continued shift and an ongoing shift to digital and online models as far as product provision and distribution is concerned. That's only been accelerated by the pandemic, and I think one challenge for us as a provider that perhaps has stood out on the basis of the quality of our technology is to continue to develop our tech to make sure that it remains leading edge and it meets both business partner and client expectations going forwards. So I believe that's one challenge that we face. There's going to be, I think, a bit of continued turbulence, from the pandemic. We're not out of the woods yet. That's going to continue to affect different regions and certainly different client segments. I mean, what I'm hearing from advisory partners is that those that perhaps deal with the expatriate segment, some of the expat clients, still a little bit concerned about job security, whether contracts are renewed. In a lot of locations, a lot of expatriate clients are employed in industries like hospitality and aviation and those kinds of sectors, which obviously have been very hard hit. So I think that's going to be one of the other features of 2022, is that we're going to see markets and customer segments perhaps recover at different speeds. And again, for us, it's important that we stay diversified and that we maintain our appeal to the various customer segments that we deal with already. And I think the final thing, regulation becomes something of a broken record when people talk about the challenges that are facing the industry going forwards, but it's not going to go away. I think one of the challenges that we see is around business acceptance. Investors Trust, I think, are highly regarded in terms of our business acceptance, but it's a challenge in terms of increasing regulation, KYC, AML standards and requirements, that we can continue to maintain a smooth onboarding process for our business partners and their clients in order to get business on the books. So obviously there's no shortcuts. in terms of meeting regulatory and AML, KYC requirements, etc. But we need to obviously incorporate whatever new requirements are put in place into a usable business and onboarding process. So I think that's an ongoing challenge for us as well.